So our gardens, so much of our time, energy, and talent come from volunteers. And so last year with the pandemic, a lot of our normal volunteers were incredibly hesitant to bring groups out and things like that. And so, but the trade that got made was that we got probably 6 die-hard volunteers who just said, I'm here 5 days a week. And I don't want to alienate anybody, but if I had to gun to your head, you have to decide, 100 one-day volunteer groups or 5-day a week folks. I really liked our 5-day a week folks. And so we just became this weird little COVID gardening family that was together almost every day, working in the garden or working over at Sprout. We, when the pandemic started and by the time you guys had come out, we had been doing these free produce bags. And so we've been handing out free produce bags since the pandemic started. We just handed out our 14,000th bag of free produce for families in Pontiac. So, this little band of volunteers became our little food family, and we've spent a lot of time. We've learned a lot through this grant. If you get quoted one thing by an office that says, here's how much it's going to cost to put water in your garden, that's only their fee. It doesn't include the, hey, we have to ask fee and the here's your meter fee, and then we have to send another person to hook it up fee. And so, we're learning that some things are way more expensive than we had anticipated. We are learning that nothing is fast, like garden people. Some of you are garden people, and that's great. The greenhouse and growing community moves at the speed of a garden, which is not terribly fast. And so, we've started the conversation with a greenhouse company back in August. We picked the one we want. We said, this is what we're after. And, when can we get that? Well, parts come in when they come in. And we just, it's like, this does not feel like a plan. So some things, we're learning that some things in some parts of the gardening world just move a little slower than other parts, and that's okay. But last fall we demoed our site and said, this is where, our greenhouse is going to go. And so now we are waiting for our supplier to get all the parts together, which we've been waiting for since last fall. But it should be here the first week of May, and we get to build it. We have helpers from General Motors and AkzoNobel who are ready to help us put that up whenever the time comes, and Borg Warner. So we've got a number of great folks and friends and partners and organizations that are ready to help us build that thing as soon as it hits our property. So coming soon.
And you, so I was going back yesterday and kind of rereading the project descriptions for both of your groups. And yours, it said that it would be basically a 400% increase in production of food is what you were, yes, what you're thinking. So that takes you from, that's obviously a huge increase, sure, but what does that mean for Pontiac, or what does that mean? Will that mean that you're able to provide more food to existing families? Will that mean that you're going to expand your service? How is that going to help? How is that going to impact
you? So we've been sort of teetering on the edge of this ability to make the jump to be able to start sourcing, folks like restaurants and area CSAs and things like that. And, we have our vegetable store that we run as well, but being able to do that and sell to those outlets means then that we can invest that money back into our people, which means that we can hire more people from the neighborhood. Right now, anytime a job, we kind of hit a revenue place where a job is able to be created, we immediately turn to our neighborhood and we go, okay, who's in the neighborhood that we can hire to work in our gardens? And so right now we have Vernon and Javier are they started as juniors in high school, and now they just finished their second year of college. They've been with us for 4 years, which is wild. And they're both studying environmental science at Eastern Michigan, and they both want to be park rangers, and because they love being outside and working with plants, and that's what they want to do. And so we've got them working for us. Brandy and Tanya and Baya all work at our produce store. And so to be able to generate more revenue means it will be able to create more jobs. And, we're in a weird negotiation right now with a local church, and I don't want to like jinx it. But they're donating us like a big van, and there's like 15 passenger van, van. But then there's also like a big van. And we've seen models in Chicago and other places where they've taken it and retrofitted that and turned it into a mobile vegetable store. And so we do a series of pop-ups around the city already, but to transition those into a mobile would be really, really cool. And I think that this jump in produce would let us do more locations and be able to drive that thing around so people could buy vegetables off of the bus.
Wow. So Jana has reminded me that a large part of the unmet need in Pontiac is the lack of ability to have fresh produce, or lack of proximity to fresh produce, and the plastic shopping bags, and why local people couldn't carry the fresh groceries home. Could you just tell everyone about that?
Sure. So I live in a neighborhood where 1/3 of my neighbors are on disability, and another third of our neighbors don't have cars. The nearest grocery store is 1.5 miles away, and so and on the other side of Telegraph, so across 6 lanes of traffic. And so to get from here to there, if you have money, if you have your bridge card, if you have whatever, you have to walk the 1.5 miles there. And when people get there, they have to decide, what do I want to try to carry 1.5 miles back to my house? Oh, because we don't have buses that go to Waterford. And to ride in the Pontiac taxi cab company, it's $11 each way from here to there, 1.5 miles. Ridiculous. So if you walk that full way and you get there, you have to decide what you want to carry 1.5 miles back to your house. And so you have to decide, do I want to carry a bag of chips or do I want to carry a bag of apples? And a lot of times people decide on the chips just because it's the lightest thing to try and carry back. And then what happens all the time, and if you drive from my house to the grocery store, you will always see on the sidewalk food where people's bags have torn or broken, because bags aren't designed to be carried 1.5 miles. They're actually designed to be carried 75 feet. The furthest walk. So, if you're at the grocery store, you grab your food, you put it in your cart, you check out, you put your food in the bags, and then you put your bags back in your cart, you roll it out to your car. The furthest walk a grocery bag is designed to make is from the trunk of your car to your kitchen. Not designed to be carried that far. And so oftentimes people's bags will break, and rather than risking breaking other bags, they'll just leave the food on the sidewalk. But rather than go through all that hassle, if you're just hungry right now, there is a gas station, liquor store, and a weird thrift store that also sells expired Little Debbie's treat that you can walk to and grab something quick to eat, bag of chips, just some junk, whatever. There's You Buy We Fry down there also. And so health-related issues or diet-related healthy issues are rampant in my neighborhood. So high blood pressure, diabetes, prediabetes, heart disease are all very, very common in my neighborhood. And as a result, people in my zip code die 5 years earlier than the national average. And so these are all food-related issues that my neighborhood has struggled with. And so when we moved in, we were on the map, red on the USDA website, because we were a food desert. Because of our food work, because of our vegetable store here now, and because of all the food stuff that we do, we've been downgraded to orange. We are now an orange food desert, which still means we have a long way to go, but we're heading in the right direction, which is really exciting.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think I